was the youngest of 9, the last to come along. Sat at the little table on the side of the room, always had to battle to get my views across or to be able to express it, but I had extraordinary role models. My father, who was very ambitious for his children and was a great supporter, a mother who was the safe haven, devoted to her faith and also the love of history. My older brothers, who were great heroes of mine and who were inspiring figures all the way through my life. My brother had been elected to the Congress, and he asked me whether I wanted a tour of Washington, and I welcomed the opportunity, and he brought me around to the House of Representatives and brought me to the United States Senate, brought me over to the Supreme Court of the United States, pointed out the White House. He gave advice to me then which really stuck with me. I was probably 12 years old at the time. And he said, look, you'll visit the buildings now. You'll see these buildings. But he said the really importance of this visit is that you take an interest in what happens inside these buildings for the rest of your life. And I thought, well, that's a nice sort of idea, but when are we going to get hot dogs or something or other, or go to a baseball or a football game? But the resonance of that message stayed with me all of my life. It's the way, only way really our democracy is going to work, is if people take the interest, take the time. Our history and our tradition is filled with millions who have made this country the great country as it is. All 8 of my great-grandparents arrived in East Boston at the dock. I can look out my window in the JFK building in Boston. I can see the dock that they arrived in. I can see the stairs, which are called the Golden Stairs, that lead on up into East Boston. Every one of them went up to that, not knowing what was going to happen. And, they were fortunate, some were fortunate, and we were able to participate in the democracy. It's a great gift. When I first arrived in the United States Senate, it was primarily in knocking down walls of discrimination. We still have a ways to go, but we were looking then after passing Medicare, Medicaid, higher education at that time. I've been faced both adversity, witnessed great success in the times of particularly my brother's sort of achievement. But I think this is a the sort of the values of our country or society are worth fighting for. And I see people who struggle very hard to try and make a difference for the nation, which inspires me. That school teacher, that law enforcement, the legal defender that's trying to, that healthcare worker, trying to give healthcare, trying to give education, trying to bring the Constitution to people who didn't know that they had constitutional rights and liberties. One was religion, which is very, very important, particularly for my mother and father, but also for the members of our family, and has been incredibly important in terms of my life, particularly facing some of the real challenging times that I've had to face. Members of my family that have been lost, and other kinds of tragedies. Feeding the hungry and giving to those that are thirsty, and clothing the naked, and welcoming the stranger and visiting the imprisoned. These words can be simple words, but they can also be guiding words, and they've been guiding for me in the United States Senate. There's still a core understanding and awareness that America is just not a land, but it's a promise. And it does seem to me this particular year, as we're coming into the presidential year, the energy and the liveliness and the enthusiasm, particularly on our side, the Democratic side, with the Democratic candidates, is very alive and very well and very involved. And I mean, the polls reflect it, but all you have to do is see the turnouts of people that are turning out and involved and engaged. I think programs change and times change, but values really don't change.